The Mall of Evergreen closed years ago, its once bustling corridors now silent and decaying. Rumors swirled around town about why it had shut down. Some said the foundation was unsafe. Others whispered of strange disappearances. But most people avoided it, agreeing on one thing: the mannequins. In the department store at the heart of the mall, dozens of mannequins remained, forgotten and gathering dust. People swore they'd seen them move, always in the corner of their eyes, shifting slightly, just enough to make you question your sanity. For Mia, the mall was the perfect place to explore. She was 17, bored, and always up for a scare. One night, armed with a flashlight and her phone, she decided to sneak in with her best friend, Claire. They planned to take some creepy photos and prove the rumors were nothing more than urban legends. The mall was a cavernous void, its skylights shattered, allowing faint moonlight to filter through the shattered glass. The air was thick and cold, carrying the faint, metallic tang of rust and decay. Their footsteps echoed unnervingly as they entered the department store. Rows of mannequins stood like sentinels, their glossy white forms illuminated in the beam of Mia's flashlight. They were dressed in outdated clothes, their poses frozen in unsettlingly lifelike gestures. Arms outstretched, heads cocked, lips painted in fixed, plastic smiles. "Creepy," Claire whispered, snapping a photo. "Why do they look like they're watching us?" "They're just mannequins," Mia scoffed, but her voice wavered. As they moved deeper into the store, the temperature dropped. Mia's flashlight flickered, and a faint tapping sound echoed through the aisles. "Did you hear that?" Claire whispered. "Probably just a rat," Mia said, though her grip on the flashlight tightened. She swept the beam around, illuminating more mannequins. Their positions seemed different. Closer, perhaps. She shook her head. Imagination. But then Claire gasped. "Mia, look!" One of the mannequins had fallen, or so it seemed. It lay sprawled in the middle of the aisle, its face turned toward them. But its hand was reaching out, fingers frozen mid-curl. "Maybe it tipped over?" Mia suggested, though her voice betrayed her uncertainty. "Sure," Claire muttered. "Let's just keep moving." They pressed on, their footsteps now hurried. The tapping grew louder, echoing like a distant heartbeat. The mannequins became more scattered, their poses more chaotic. Some were missing arms. Others had twisted necks, their hollow eyes staring blindly. "Let's go," Claire said suddenly. She was shaking, her phone clenched in her hand. "Wait, I want to see the back room," Mia said. "That's where they say people disappeared." "You're insane," Claire hissed, but Mia was already walking ahead. The back room was worse. The walls were lined with headless mannequin torsos, their limbs strewn haphazardly on the floor. A single intact mannequin stood in the center of the room, its face blank and smooth. But as Mia stepped closer, faint words carved into its chest caught her eye. "Help me." "Mia." Claire's voice trembled. "We need to go." But Mia couldn't move. She felt it. The room wasn't empty. She turned, her flashlight shaking. The mannequins had moved. They were closer, their hollow eyes fixed on her. "Claire," Mia whispered, her voice cracking. "They're moving." The tapping sound erupted into a cacophony. The mannequins weren't just standing anymore. They were crawling, their joints bending unnaturally as they dragged themselves forward. "Run!" Claire screamed, bolting for the exit. Mia turned to follow, but her flashlight caught one last thing. The mannequin with "Help me" carved into its chest was now pointing at her, its blank face twisted into something resembling a grin. They sprinted through the store, the tapping growing louder, more frantic. Shadows darted in the edges of their vision, and the mannequin's whispers filled the air, a low, raspy chant of unintelligible words. As they reached the entrance, Claire screamed. A mannequin stood in the doorway, blocking their escape. Its head jerked unnaturally as it tilted to look at them, and it raised an arm, beckoning. Without thinking, Mia grabbed a metal pole from the floor and swung. The mannequin shattered, its pieces scattering across the floor, but the whispers didn't stop. The remaining mannequins loomed in the distance, motionless again, but somehow waiting. They ran out into the night, gasping for air. The mall was silent once more, its dark silhouette looming behind them. They didn't stop until they were home. The next morning, Mia found a note tucked into her jacket pocket. It was written in shaky, uneven letters. "They saw you. They won't forget." When she looked up, the mannequins in her room, the ones she'd always ignored, were facing her bed. and their blank faces were smiling.